You can change your entire life by just changing one habit. Subscribe to our podcast and make listening a habit.
Change your mindset, manifest your dream life, and live magically with Rise and Align.
Raising the frequency one episode at a time.
Everything is always working out for us. Hello and welcome back to the Rise and Align podcast, where we talk about all things high vibrational. We are your hosts. My name is Demi.
And I'm Haley. And today we are diving into a fascinating conversation about the connection between your home and your energy with our special guest, Olga Naiman. Olga is the author of Spatial Alchemy, Design Your Home to Transform Your Life, a groundbreaking book that blends science, psychology, spirituality, and design to show how small shifts in your space can lead to major transformations in your life. Imagine if tweaking your home office could bring in more abundance, or shifting your bedroom's energy could invite in more love. Olga has not only studied these principles through psychotherapy, quantum physics, neuroaesthetics, and ancient spiritual practices, she has lived them. And today she's sharing how you can apply these insights to your home to create a space that aligns with your desires. Let's get into it.
Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the Rise and Align podcast. We are so excited and grateful to talk to you today.
Oh, so am I. I'm so grateful to talk to you guys. About the best subject ever.
Yes, we couldn't agree more. My name is Haley, and this is my co-host, Demi.
Yes.
Nice to meet Haley and Demi.
Nice to meet you.
So we might as well just get right into it. We would love to have you just share a little bit about yourself for our listeners, especially for someone who may not be familiar with you or who is unfamiliar with this concept.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to be here with you guys. My name is Olga Naiman, and I call myself a spatial alchemist because for me, spatial alchemy is the intersection of your home, your brain, and what you want to manifest in your life. And I find that a really interesting way of approaching interior design. Because it's like a holistic approach. It takes in mind what you want to bring into your life that oftentimes people don't really believe that it's possible, or they want things that they don't know how they're going to get from here to there. And I love using your home to tether to the thing that you want to bring into your life. So that is my approach. And I started in interior design like 30 years ago. I've been in this business for a long time.
Mhm.
And I started out as an editor, assistant editor, then associate editor, then editor at House Beautiful magazine, and a stylist for Domino magazine. And I was a stylist. And an editor. So I would go around for clients like Target or West Elm and CB2, designing their sets for their catalogs. And I would do editorial, and I would be in some of the most beautiful homes in America, shooting for like Elle Decor, House Beautiful, or Veranda, or Real Simple, Wall Street Journal. I've done so many editorial shoots. And I wanted to combine my interior design background with a more spiritual approach, which is what I'd been doing in my life, not necessarily at the time in interior design. I was, doing therapy and plant medicine and meditation and all, like, everything, tantra, everything. I was just exploring the whole range of, spiritual possibilities because I wanted to step into my own best self. And then during the pandemic, I combined the two because it really felt like people were ready. We were so like enmeshed in our homes at the time like never before, and people really got to feel how their home affected their psyche. And yeah, that was really the beginning.
Wow. Amazing timing to put that together too. And I mean, we obviously talk about manifestation on our podcast all the time. We're totally into all things spiritual. And I just love, love, love this concept so much of the home being a portal to your external world. And I mean, we have episodes on feng shui and how moving things around the house can make you feel better, but I've never connected like you can literally use your home to manifest. And this book, so if you're watching and you're interested in this topic, you have to get this book, Spatial Alchemy. I matched the book today.
Yes,
This
you
book,
do.
it is full of gold. Like every page is so valuable. And you put, different concepts in here and you'll be like, put the future into the now in your home. And I'm like, oh no, how do I do that? And the next page is like, this is how you do it. The whole thing is just written so beautifully. I absolutely love this book. So if you're listening, go get it. But that said, we've got some questions for you. I know you have a lot of the answers in the book, but I would just love to hear it from you. I know you're a mom, so I'm a mom as well. Do you have any particular tips, when decorating your child's space?
Mm, I would say get your child involved. Um, really begin to think about A, what do you want the child? Well, first, I would say it's in two parts. One is you as the adult kind of think of what does my child need? And like, do you have a child where you want them to kind of settle down and they have a trouble settling down? You want to start using colors that are calming. If you have like a kind of hyperactive or anxious child, the last thing you want is more like bright red, bright yellow in their sleepy space, in the space that they go to kind of collect themselves and like calm down, learn how to settle their nervous system. Those kinds of things are really aided by softer, like colors. So, for example, instead of bright red, you can use brick red. Instead of bright orange, you can use kind of a more burnt orange. So it's not like the room isn't happy or joyful, but it's really learning how to teaching your child's body how to self-regulate. So that I would say if you have a child that's kind of tends to be more like sedentary or kind of gets lost in their media kind of and goes into this like sedentary space, that's when you really want to start playing with bright tones. And tactile fabrics are really nice, like furry things like on the fabrics. If you have room for a chair that I call an emotional regulation
Mhm.
chair, that would be a really sweet thing. And a lot of parents have that. They have like a special chair that they sit and read stories in. You might want to consider making that very tactile with like furry fabric so it feels like a stuffed animal or feels like the chair is giving you a hug. That's one of my favorite pieces of advice for moms. So those are the things that the mom or dad, parent can do to think through the child's room. But then you want to get your child involved. And as most parents do, rather than thinking like, oh, I'm going to make the room like, Elsa from Frozen.
Mhm.
That might be, I would not like move into those trends. Kind of start thinking what the child, like what their essence is. Like, do they love animals? Like, do they have like a particular animal that they're drawn to? That's usually something that's going to last a lifetime that you have, like, you have a love of horses, for example, or like a love of like water, marine life, because you spend a lot of time on the water. So it's like mix in their non-trendy interests with kind of how you want to nurture them through the room.
Oh, I love that so much.
That
Thank
is so
you.
good.
Yeah.
Kind of going off of that topic of, what's trending and aesthetics, like I feel like a lot of people think of their decor, their interior design as very maybe surface level. Like, how can you begin to look at the items in your home as something deeper and thinking about more of what you need to have in your home, maybe instead of, just what you're drawn to?
When you begin to think about what you want to bring into your life. I always start there, right?
Mhm.
Because that's especially when we're manifesting. So say you want to say you want more abundance, right? And a lot of people equate abundance of like, oh, now I have to get all these expensive, fancy things because I want abundance, so I have to make my home look abundant in that way. And that is not necessarily the the answer. What you want to think is like, how will abundance make me feel?
Mhm.
So if it's like, for example, settled and secure, then you could start weaving settled. Where are you not settled and secure in your house? Like, do you have um, like a lot of skinny legged tables, like for example, a skinny leg dining table, and then skinny leg chairs, and then skinny legged coffee tables? A lot of people have this tendency. They like a thin leg, but then they use it
Mhm.
everywhere. So then when they look around their home, it's a lot of skinny legs, a lot of thin legs. And you want to start buying furniture or feeling into things that feel like you want to feel. So secure and solid, which is what the feeling that you want from abundance is like thicker legs, solid, more solid things. It doesn't mean everything has to be solid and heavy. That gets too heavy. But you want to start balancing, start seeing where you are not giving yourself the thing that you want to manifest,
Mhm.
right? Because you can vision board all day long, like in Pinterest or in the like ethers. But if your house isn't the representation, the living vision board of the thing that you're wanting to feel, right? Whether
Mhm.
it's intimacy or connection or vitality or like abundance, which is security. Underneath abundance is always security, safe, feeling safe.
Mhm.
So if your home isn't the embodiment of that, it's actually like counteracting what you're trying to manifest.
Mhm.
So it's not about the trendy items. It's really about seeing your home with new eyes and making sure that it is the representation of the thing that you're wanting in your life. Because if it is, if your body's being entrained to that energy,
Mhm.
right? So it's solid and you're like weaving more solid energy, safe. What makes me feel safe? What makes me feel unsafe in this house? What does that chair that like belonged to my ex-boyfriend that we like thrifted together, is that like making me feel the feeling that I want, for
Mhm.
example? So it's looking at your home through like the eyes of wisdom rather than trendy.
Mhm. That's so good. I feel like we talk a lot about that in terms of like clothing, like dress to
Mm.
manifest, like dress like the person you want to become. So I love that concept of doing that in your home as well.
Absolutely. Also, I would never think of like the legs of a table or something. I love the way your mind works and looking through your eyes. I'm like, wow, it's so insightful. So many questions.
Well,
So,
I'm here for you.
thank you so much. So, you kind of briefly mentioned bringing romance in, and I'm curious, what uh colors or objects, things like that, that you might bring into a bedroom to bring more love.
Mm, mm. So there are ways that we can code our bedroom for intimacy and for feeling in the now what you want to feel. So for example, when I was when I was single, I had no idea that I was actually perpetuating my singledom by literally designing a bedroom for a single woman, which yeah, makes perfect sense, right? That's who I am. I'm a person that doesn't live with anybody, so I'm designing my bedroom for me, you know? But what I should have been doing is what I wish I could go back and tell myself at age 33, 34, 35, you know, is design as if the partner was already living with you, right? So if that's what you want in your life, and that's what I wanted. So even if they are living with you, you want to start balancing the side tables. So for example, if you have mismatching side tables, that's not bringing in that like connection and alignment that you want. You really want to start having the two sides of the bed be very in balance, right? A lot of times, even if people are living together, one person has, a side table that's their preference, and the other one has one that's their preference, and one is small because one of them doesn't like a lot of things, and the other one is big because the other one likes a lot of things. You want to start bringing that into balance. So it's really about balance. That's layer number one. The lamps should also be the same, right? It feels really good. Yes, it's quirky to have mismatching lamps, but if they're not matching, at least have the shades be the same, or something where you want to start weaving together union codes into the space. So look at your art. Does your art feel like you want your erotic sex life intimacy to feel? Oftentimes we have like pointy, angry, jagged art, or art of like loneliness or sadness. It's wistful, it's nostalgic, but does it feel like you want your intimacy to feel? So in your bedroom, start looking at that. What images have you chosen and what do they symbolize? And then start really playing with the floor. Like you want to be able to like roll around on the floor and just get into your body. Even I'm not even talking anything other than G-rated like body exercises before you go to bed. So you want to start giving yourself the opportunity to get into your body, because that's what all of us want. We all want more intimacy, more eroticism, and sensuality, and all. Who doesn't want more? So you want to start inviting that in. Like I like a thick rug in the bedroom, like a really fat one, even if you live in warmer climates, because then you can really roll around in your bedroom, even if like a little space big enough for yoga or just kind of a few breathing exercises before you get into bed. That shifts your body in a huge way. Because most of us are on our phone and just like checked out in our phone in our bedroom. But if we gave ourselves the opportunity for like even 3 minutes of body practice, can you see how you would manifest the thing that you want? Because you're doing it through your body. So you're saying with everything, universe, I want this. I want this. I have this sexy rug that I'm like sitting and doing this. So that's going to bring that in faster. Sensuality, sheets, pillows, not fussy little like ruffly pillows. You want to have like this like feline energy pillows. They don't all have to be leopard skin, but like rough linens, burnished colors. Like you don't, if and you know what kind of like spicy feelings you want to be having in there. If you want like more vibrant, more electric energy, do brighter colors, but that also might not be so restful. So again, I like talking about these burnished tones. Like it doesn't mean your bedroom has to be all white to be like Zen. It could be tone on tone blues, tone on tone greens, softer colors, deeper colors. That's the kind of sensuality most people want in their lives, like deeper, softer, all those words, all those adjectives that describe how you want to be feeling in your relationship. Start weaving that literally into your bedroom.
That's so, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Shifting gears a little bit, I'm just curious. So we live in a pretty cold climate most of the year. We live in northern Minnesota. We find that we tend to be pretty cyclic. Like we like to align ourselves with the seasons, and obviously how we dress changes throughout the seasons. Do you find that it is beneficial to change your home depending on the season? Like for us, we often will incorporate more of those cozier elements in the winter. So I'm just curious, your take on that.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely. And I hear you on the cold climate. I live in upstate New York, so I'm also really just entering into spring here. Like it's the first nice day
Mhm.
in a while. So, you know, yes, and you want to have a foundation of just things that work no matter what the season.
Mhm.
So the seasonal thing is the top layer, because otherwise you're going to make yourself crazy. You could have like a room arrangement that faces more towards the open porch windows in the summer, and then in the winter, arrange it towards the fireplace. So yes, you can move furniture around, and you should once a season. And they say like you could, change 27 little things in Feng Shui. They talk
Hmm.
about like changing 27 little things, and alchemy is the same. You need to move energy. And so, shifting your throws, taking your rugs and bringing in summer rugs. Some people really go crazy with it, and just, you don't want to overwhelm yourself. So
Hmm.
think of what you can do and do it.
I
Yeah,
love that.
absolutely. So, again, shifting gears, I am a life coach, and you have such valuable information about your childhood home in this book, and how it affects how we feel and therefore how we're acting, in our adult lives, and often how we habitually feel and act, So, could you give us some examples of what we might look for or think about from our childhood homes that we would want to, kind of recognize, be conscious of, and change in our adult homes?
I love that
Mm.
question. Thank you for asking it. It's such an important topic. I come from a therapy background myself. My parents are both psychiatrists, and that was my major in college. I spent time in that career. Um, you want to start thinking of how safe you felt in your childhood home. That's like first chakra stuff. That's like
Mhm.
you and your body on this planet kind of stuff. So, like, did you feel safe in your childhood home? Were you happy to come home from school? When you crossed the door of your threshold as a child, what did you feel? Right? So you want to like feel that imprint. Did you feel your home was beautiful? Did you feel your home was safe? Did you feel your home was nurturing? What are the themes in your life that you like kind of that are hard for you? So is it feeling safe? Is it giving yourself, where did you feel neglected as a child? For whatever reason, maybe your parents were just working 3 jobs to keep food on the table. Like, so you want to start seeing how those patterns are also repeating themselves in your new home. So, for example, like self-neglect. My parents were immigrants, and we came, and they were worked all the time, and I was the only child at the time, and sat in front of the TV a lot alone. And that pattern, even as a designer, is in my house. And I see it every so like there's like lamps that are broken for whatever reason, like they need to be rewired or whatever, and they're sitting there for like months on end. Or I'm like looking at a pile of stuff on my sofa, and a lamp that's been like broken next to it, for a while. So, and I'm just not doing it. So where are you neglecting yourself? Because the thing of when you do notice all the little ways that you're repeating that same pattern, and you start addressing them, the easiest ones to do first, and start giving yourself that dopamine hit. Like, oh my God, I fixed this. Oh my God, I did that. I cleaned my closet. Or it goes beyond decluttering. It's literally recoding and repatterning,
Mhm.
right? Decluttering is the top layer, but we're really doing it by seeing, oh, where in my home am I neglecting myself? And then as you start receiving the self-worth of repatterning that by doing these things and seeing what opens up in your life, that gets exciting. So
Mhm.
that's when it really starts getting fun, once you start tapping what you're doing to your home and how it's affecting your life. As soon as you see that, it's gonna really inspire you to have a deeper conversation and like really love your home more.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I really think that you can heal your inner child in doing that as well. It's so valuable. It's funny how much just changing one little thing like that immediately makes you feel better. It really does.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're constantly talking about how you feel is what you're acting out of, what you're attracting. So I mean, imagine changing your whole house around that. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too, because it really gives people the opportunity to have the deeper conversation with their more therapeutic
Mhm.
conversation with their
Yeah.
homes.
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
It really
Mm,
is. Yeah.
absolutely. Do you find that, we're always up leveling and always trying to grow. And if you are kind of gearing your house towards like a specific manifestation, once you achieve that, do you find like, is your home kind of always changing? Do you ever get to a point where you're like, this is like my dream house, this is how I want it to be? Or do you find that you're always kind of tweaking things or making small changes as you continue to elevate and manifest new
Right.
things?
You do want to give yourself the experience every so often of
Hmm.
like settling in.
Hmm.
Um, if you actually genuinely feel like you love it enough to settle, like where you kind of want to like it feels there are times where your home feels really good. And at that point, I say enjoy it for a month. You don't have to be always on a
Hmm.
project, like enjoy it for 2 months, whatever that feels like. But then the seasonality shift, like you were saying, and then we're ready for change. And then when you feel that desire of like, oh, I'm ready for change, that's when you want to start, you can start to play like in little ways.
Hmm.
But you want to modulate it because so many of us, including myself, we're always on like we have this very long projects I want to do in my house list.
Hmm.
And it is great to tick those boxes, but then it's also good to like give yourself a break.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And kind of what I'm hearing too is like it's a very intuitive thing. You have to like practice, like really going deeper and listening to how you feel, which I think is important with anything.
Absolutely. So I was reading a part of your book that was talking about being stuck in indecisiveness. I am guilty. So can you talk about, how do you get through that and kind of choose like this is what I for sure want?
Yeah, I mean, I call it design freeze, because there's so many options and
Hmm.
we get overwhelmed and we get so overwhelmed that we shut down and think like, I can't think about this right now. And then 3 months later, you still haven't made a choice. Um, so I would say that the first thing to do is to really step back and what do I want this space to feel like? So you always come back to the same thing that I mentioned,
Hmm.
right? Because then that limits the options, right? Because if we're being overwhelmed by options and then you know how you want to feel. So say I want more earthiness in my life because I want to feel grounded. I want to feel connected and I want to like have some bright color. I feel like some bright color around me. So then you kind of know, okay, grounded. So then I'm going to do like I will reupholster that sofa that I've been avoiding doing, but I'm going to choose instead of like the million fabrics, I want to choose like a deep brick red, for example, because I just feel really grounded in that color. And you kind of start thinking of like what you look good in as well to bring some
Oh.
of those colors that you've already had a relationship with, right? So but that also limits the choices. So
Hmm.
then now you're narrowing, so I want to feel grounded, so it's a deeper color, but then I want some vibrancy, so maybe it's some red pillows, deep red sofa, bright red pillows. That's a really chic combination. And so you start like looking, googling dark red pillows, you start narrowing and start taking little baby steps towards the thing. But first, if you start thinking of how I want to feel, that narrows out like 95% of the choices. So then instead of like 10 possible sofa fabrics, you will have like three.
Love that.
Hmm.
That's so good. So good. How much does it cost to have you live with me? So, we are kind of witchy women ourselves, and you talk about having altars around the home. I love that so much. Can you talk about like what you put on your altar?
Yeah, and I call it secular altars. So there's two kinds of altars. Ones that are obviously spiritual,
Hmm.
Hmm.
great. And so that's the one answer. So I'm going to speak about that. And then there's the secular altars, which I actually find quite interesting. They don't look like altars to anyone but yourself. No one will know So you don't have to have like Buddhas around your house, like everywhere, or, you can have it in your one altar place. But in the secular altar, you always start thinking of where's my focal point in the room. So say it's your living room and it's like a sideboard in your living room. Say you have room for a sideboard in your living room. You're not in New York City. So that's you see that sideboard as soon as you walk in the door, right? You see it through the doorway. So that's your focal point. It's a power spot. So start first thinking of what are the power spots in my house. And through a doorway is an obvious power spot. You could create a power spot by doing like two matching things on top of your sofa, for example. So you have a central piece of art, which is kind of like an altar space. And then if you want to like really reinforce the altar, and you see this in churches and temples of all cultures, they put two things that are exactly the same. So they create like a little trinity. And the thing that's in the middle becomes the most important thing, thus like an altar, a secular altar. So that piece of art that's over your sofa will have more power than a random piece of art, like kind of in a corner somewhere, even though that one is powerful too. But this is like you're really lifting it into a space of altar. So you're creating altar. So back to the sideboard. So you could do, if you want more balance in your life, do two of the same thing, framing the central thing, and the central thing becomes the altar. And then you could arrange a pile of books, a pretty bowl, like make it look like a normal, pretty styling arrangement. But then you will know you have two matching lamps and then one central object, which is a kind of earthy terracotta sculpture, because you want to feel like that sculpture. Earthy, grounded, maybe it's like just simple round shapes. You want to feel more sensual, grounded by the thing that feels, by its embodiment, by its material, that feels like you want to feel. If you want to feel airy and light because your life is so heavy and boring, and you want more fire energy, and get red glass and put it in front of the window, right?
Mhm.
That feels like bright fire energy. So that's what you put on your altar. It doesn't have to look like an altar. It
Mhm.
could start thinking of the physicality of the things that you're putting on it.
That's so beautiful.
Right back going to buy red glass. Oh, that's great.
Do you have practices or things that you do regularly in your home to take care of it? I know we're kind of thinking of the home as an energetic space or an energetic being almost. Do you have like something or things that you do to really take care of it?
Well, I take care of it through like choosing items for it
Hmm.
that that are dignified, that bring in like a really beautiful regal energy.
Hmm.
And like I start looking at my routines.
Hmm.
And I like turning them into rituals. And I feel like that is a blessing for the home, because you're turning a home into a temple. When you turn your routine into ritual, you turn your home into a temple. I like
Oh,
that. I
that's
might use that.
beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, I just came up with that.
So good.
So,
Perfect.
and it's true, your question kind of inspired it in me. So let me speak a little more what I mean
Hmm.
by that. Start thinking of what you do daily. Like, so we all have a little glass by our bedside table, most of us. And we have our coffee cup, and we have salt and pepper shakers that we use every day. And then we have like, start thinking of your routines. Like, you make coffee in this way. This is your honey pot. This is where you stir your honey. Like things that you touch on a daily basis and multiple times a day are ripe for reinvention. So what would it feel like to have the most exquisite sponge money can buy to wash your dishes, right?
Yes.
So that is what turns routine into ritual. Like even just the act of shopping for the sponge, like literally saying, I am a millionaire when it comes to sponges. I could buy the best sponge on the market. Like that's a very powerful act.
Hmm.
So tea towels, same thing. You can have the most exquisite tea towel ever, you know? And so you start weaving those things into the home. That's the energy of dignity, right?
Hmm.
So dignity is a blessing.
Wow, that is so good. I thank you again for sharing that and letting that like wisdom flow through you. You're such a great source of knowledge for this.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about, and you have touched on it a bit, but the future being present. Can we
Hmm.
expand on that a little more?
I love your questions. Thank you. Basically, when you think of the future, the thing that you want,
Mhm.
say, like, let's say it's intimacy again. We'll just keep on the same theme. So, say you want more intimacy, and by the examples that I gave, you're literally bringing the thing you want into your life now. You know, you have control over that.
Mhm.
Sometimes we forget that, all of
Mhm.
us,
Mhm.
and think, like it's not happening and it sucks, but really, you can start cultivating the seeds, like the little apple seeds, one little apple seed at a time, and start weaving them and planting them into the now. So you want intimacy because you want to feel connected to your body. That's why we all want intimacy. We want to feel connected to our like animal nature. So how do we bring that into our bedroom now? So the future is present
Mhm.
because you're giving yourself the thing. And what is the most magnetic thing of all is when someone's already
Mhm.
like doing the thing,
Oh.
because you're doing it because like you're connected to your body, and then you walk around the world as a person who is connected to their body because they, step by step gave that to themselves. That person's more magnetic. So you bring in intimacy.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Already energetically aligned, to that vibration that we desire, You
Yeah.
also kind of answered one of my questions earlier because you were talking about in the book how you can bring abundance and wealth into your home without going out and buying new things. Because I was reading and I was like, how can I act like I'm rich without going to buy stuff that's expensive? And you were talking about like how abundance is feeling safe and grounded. And now I'm looking at it totally different.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's why we want the abundance. We want freedom
Mm-hmm.
and we want to feel safe. Usually safe first and then freedom. That's kind of the primal needs.
Mhm.
So you want to kind of see where your home isn't feeling safe. For example, here's another little example that it's in the chapter called Tripping Hazards, and we all
Mhm.
have these. My friend, like, I came to her house and I was like moving stuff around, and I was like, the rug is in the wrong place. Let's move the rug into this place. And so we did. And then the next 2 days, she called me and she was like, I would always trip over the rug. For 3 years, I've been tripping over the rug, because it was in that spot. But we moved it and I haven't tripped. And you can't even imagine how powerful that is to not trip every day. Because I wasn't even noticing it. I
Mhm.
was moving so fast. She's a busy mom, like professional. She in New York City, moving so fast that she like would trip, but then she wouldn't even notice that she was tripping
Mhm.
until she stopped tripping. And then she was like, oh my God, what that cost me, all those years of tripping on her rug. So it's like, it's these little things. That's abundance. That's free.
Mhm.
Like when you start like noticing, or like how easy is it for you to like get the things that you need? Like look at your body and the way that it moves. You want to start moving gracefully and start tracking yourself throughout your house. Where am I moving less than gracefully? Am I hopping on one foot trying to get my shoes off by the door because the benches are always piled with stuff that I set out? Well, then start thinking, okay, how do I solve for that problem? So I'm not doing that, because how elegant would it be to not have to like hop on a foot? That's abundance.
Mm. That reminds me, there was a portion in your book where I want to say it was maybe a husband and a wife. He was doing a lot of projects in the house, so he would have his tools like sitting around in the house, and then his partner was getting like frustrated by that. But it was almost just as simple as like having a nice little chest to put them in, and then it
Yeah,
works for everyone.
exactly.
Smallest thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's these little things that we all have blind spots, and that's also a part of the book. Like, you don't even like realize you're doing it until
Mhm.
solution is usually will take 20 minutes or less to figure out. And then once you realize that most solutions to these like annoying fights that you're constantly having with your spouse, like I would say like at least 40 to 60% of them you could solve in under 20 minutes or less and not have to have that
That's so
particular
good. Yes.
fight. That one.
The value of this conversation is infinite.
Yeah, take
It's
that
so
fight out of
true.
the rotation. There are so many other things to fight about.
Mhm.
Double stick tape and masking tape. That actually
Mhm.
really solves the problem, people. So get some blue painter's tape, put it on the floor, and then get some rug double stick tape to put on the painter's tape. And there you have your one solution,
There
one
you
of
go.
many solutions to rug tripping.
There you go. Less arguments already. So you have in your meditation room this, I'm obsessed with this color. It is like this deep, earthy, blackish green. And I'm madly in love with that color. And I looked up the website and everything already. But I will say, there are times where I'm like, "Ugh, I don't know if I want to paint this room a dark color because I don't get a lot of light in here already, and I'm nervous. Like, what if the house is too dark? Do you have any advice on like, paint colors and using dark versus light in different rooms?
Yes, yes. I think people should really play with a variance. Like in my home, I have some rooms like what you see behind me is very bright, and most of my home is kind of this like neutral white off white tone because I do want the expansiveness of that. But then there are some rooms that are color, like drenched in color. And I want that to give my body that experience too. So you're trying to give your body varying experiences. And what I say is like, choose the smallest room and paint it dark,
Okay, yeah.
because then you get to experience what it feels like being in a cave or a womb or some other
Mhm.
little safe fort-like space that remember as children, we used to love to hide in little dark spaces, and burrow. You want
Hmm.
to give your body the experience of burrowing in a dark little cave. And it really feeds the animal.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I,
That's so
I
good.
love, I mean, even just looking at that color, I feel that way. And I'm like, yes, I love it. I kind of want to paint my bathroom a deep green, and I do have a smaller bathroom, but it's like, well, it'll look tiny, but I'm like, but I'll love it.
Here's the thing. It will the tiny isn't even a problem because you can make it
Hmm.
tiny and cute, like a little jewel box, a little green jewel.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to suggest to you, you have to have good lighting. Green is not so great for makeup putting on.
Hmm.
So you want to start like think about that. So maybe it's not like your bedroom, but maybe it's your closet, the inside of your closet, and you wallpaper it let's a small space. You really start playing with that. So feel into it because maybe you have great lighting and the green won't be problematic with the makeups, but that's one thing I just want to put your attention on.
Yeah, that's great advice. I'm a makeup artist as well, so I'm like, oh yeah, good,
Mhm.
good, good thought. I don't get ready in my bathroom, thankfully, so I could still go with the dark green.
Okay, then you know what? That if makes you feel good, even if it's like it's not even a mistake, your body gets to have the
Mhm.
experience of that for like
Hmm.
3 to 6 months. And
Yeah,
that's not a
yeah.
mistake. I think we're all so afraid of making design mistakes.
Hmm.
And paint color is an experience that you're giving your body.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a wonderful, beautiful way to look at it. This is really going back to the beginning of your book, but just for our listeners, I would love you to walk us through the different steps of the process of spatial alchemy.
Okay. So it's a fairly easy process and it's very intuitive. So you're once I explain it to you, you're gonna kind of get it because it really works like the seasons do. You got your winter, which is releasing unwanted patterns, and I'm gonna go deeply into this. Um, so releasing, planting the seeds, cultivating the seeds, and then like kind of like really bringing in the bigger purchases once you've gotten the smaller things down. So you want to start scanning your house with a stranger's eyes. That's the first part of the seeing through new eyes, like the eyes of your future self. take yourself outside of your house and come back as your future self and take a look at your house and think like, would I live here? Would I buy this again? Would I keep this thing? Is there anything broken or like that reminds me of like more resonant with the old me than the now future me? Right? So you want to start seeing all those patterns in your house. In order to deactivate the patterns, you need to see them first. So number one is like seeing. Then we go into the winter thing, that deactivating. So remove any unwanted patterns. Are your chairs uncomfortable? Like, are your like knickknacks, do they remind you of yourself in college because you've had them since college? Like, you want to start removing those things and seeing who else might want them, things that you feel meh about. How much of your house do you feel meh about? Where else are you having resignation in your life? You want to start looking at yourself, for all you coaches and manifestors out there. Then deactivate, release. And a lot of people clutch and they keep and they don't want to let go. But you start thinking, what do you value more? Resonating with the future or the past? So you want to start asking yourself that very important question to actually let go.
Mhm.
And then stay in the emptiness for a while. And
Mhm.
what you want to do is practice listening to the space, right? Rather than going out, running out and buying the new thing. You don't want to buy that. It's like dating someone, getting married right after you've gotten divorced. You want to like be single for a while, to like breathe, be by yourself, and it's the same thing. You want to listen to your space. This is why I say it's intuitive. You might not want to repeat the same patterns. The thing that you might eventually buy might be completely unlike you at all. So you want to like sit in the emptiness and ask the space what it wants, ask your life what it wants, and don't run out and buy the thing immediately. Like think about it for a while, and then start buying little things. Don't run out and buy a brand new sofa, especially if you're not design confident.
Mhm.
Start buying a new lamp. Start like planting the little seeds, right? So you want to get a future self object, an object that feels like you want to feel. That's the first thing you want to buy. Put it on your altar space, like between two candlesticks, for example, or, in the center of the bookshelf. So, or right across your bed when first thing you see in the morning when you wake up. So look at that object, and that is the future in the present moment. So you start seeing how looking at that object makes you feel, and then start turning your routines into rituals and buying like upgrades on your water glass and your coffee cup and your tea towel and your sponge in your bathtub. You know, start really playing with those things. And then that's going to generate more momentum. See, so now it's like getting warmer and warmer. It's like very much like seasonality. So get yourself a gorgeous watering can. Start upgrading to lamps, and this is like eventually you want to know your budget. I'm not saying you could buy vintage. In fact, please buy vintage, you
We do.
know, but please buy vintage. You don't have to buy all new stuff.
Mhm.
And you don't have to get anxious that I'm telling you to spend a lot of money. It's not about spending a lot of money. You could go to Goodwill and find a vase that feels exactly
Mhm.
like you want to feel. It's not about Gucci vase.
Mhm.
It's about like understanding how you work with that as an object. And then you're going to get more design confident because what's going to happen is your body's going to respond to these choices. They're going to be upgrades, up levelings of self-worth. You're going to know, oh, I ran into that person who then introduced me to that person. I know that's linked to the things that I've been doing in my house. That's when the conversation gets interesting, right? Because your life is going to start reflecting the choices that you're making in your home. The little things are going to add up and have like a cumulative effect. So then what you want to start doing, that's when you buy your bigger design purchases, because that's what life is mirroring back to you. And
Mhm.
then you're out of design freeze.
That is so good.
Yeah, absolutely. The more we talk, the more I'm like, oh, I can't wait to start doing this and
Mhm.
start applying it to my home. You also briefly mentioned how the way you talk about your space and like your home and whether or not you like value and appreciate it or you're like, oh, like it's old and falling apart, is going to change it's almost like what's the word when inanimate objects like they're still made of energy. They're still
Mhm.
responding, you know, to how you're talking about them, how you feel about them and things like that. And I really, really loved that idea. And I was thinking about it myself because I'm like, you know, when I bought my house, I thought it was like the cutest. It had just been redone. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, I got to update a lot of things, you know, and I'm like, that has really changed the way I felt about it. And so since I read that, I'm like, okay, no, like I have so many cute little areas in my house. I love it. I love decorating. You know, if I just move things around and start appreciating what I have more, that really changes everything.
Yeah, yeah, you want to start
Hmm.
playing house, you know, and
Yeah.
like start feeling what it feels like, even not to like you could get rid of a few things and just start and move the things you've got around.
Hmm.
You know, you don't even need to buy anything. That's what the like or like buy something small, you know, like it's not really about the spending of the money. It's just about the pleasure of like moving your house around and seeing how it makes your body feel.
Hmm.
Just that alone. And then the dopamine hit of like, oh, I redid that whole bookshelf, or I like cleared that thing, or like I got rid of all that junky stuff that I didn't like. And now my house actually can breathe.
Hmm.
You're
Yeah.
gonna feel the pleasure. And the
Hmm.
pleasure is going to make you want to do it rather than forcing yourself.
Hmm. I love that concept too of like just like pouring into your home and appreciating your home because it really is the portal to the external. Like I don't think people really think about it that way, you know, and like how much that affects you. We spend so much time in our homes. I mean, I especially do.
Yes.
It's such a primary relationship.
Hmm.
What is your relationship with your home? You
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
And like, do you love your home, or is it a place that, you know, is really frustrating? I know that I'm working on my relationship with my home. I've been in renovation. This home has been in renovation for 4 years, and we moved into it a year ago, but there's still a lot that's not done because we went over budget and, you know, and then you just have to live with like, okay, you have to stop at some point and just
Hmm.
kind of even live with it. And, you know, it's been like such a hard project that I have to heal my relationship with my home. And a lot of us do.
Hmm.
We've have like traumatized relationships with our homes. Like
Hmm.
being at home didn't feel good to a lot of people. A lot of people felt ungrounded, unrooted. I know I did when I was a child because we moved all the time.
Yeah, me too.
Nope. So it's like, what patterns do you bring to your new home? You know, and then how do you heal the relationship with the home and like talking to it as if it was
Hmm.
like an entity or a person, it, you know, depending on like, I'm woo enough to do that. I love to do that.
Me too.
Yeah,
Like
Yes.
I
us
have a
too.
name for my home. I have a name for her.
What is her name? Can you share that?
Yeah. Eden,
Oh,
Eden.
I
Oh,
love
that's
that.
beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
a great name. Okay, now my house needs a name. Oh yeah.
Yes, that is so amazing. Again, we just want to thank you so much for being on our podcast and sharing your knowledge with our listeners. Before we finish up, I'm just curious if there's anything that you feel like really needs to be added to this conversation, something maybe you really want people to take away from this as we finish up here.
Yeah. You know, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to make all the design choices or beat yourself up for not having done it. Do one little thing at a time and do the easiest things first. Start with like a little sponge and a little tea towel and like a water glass and just see how that affects you. And then just play. It's not
Play.
serious, it's really fun. And if
Yes.
you treat it as fun, because we get so scared that we're going to make a mistake and we're going to buy the wrong sofa and like then we're going to hate it. We're going to make a big expensive choice and then we're going to hate it
Mhm.
and then be mad at ourselves. You know, like yes, that happens, but like if you kind this process is really about doing one little thing at a time to like walk yourself back from that.
Mhm. I love that. Just remembering to have fun with it, have more fun. We all could use
Yeah.
more fun, more joy.
Absolutely. And I just appreciate so much how doable and how easy you make it sound. And you're as a person very grounded and balanced. Like I feel that from you. And so hearing you talk about these concepts, I'm like, oh wow, like yes, we can all totally apply these things. And it's
Mhm.
just wonderful. And I just want to thank you so much, not only for being here, but for sharing that wisdom with the world because we need it. We really do.
Yes.
Yeah, the world needs some alchemy right now.
It
Yeah,
does. Yes.
absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah.
just one final thought is if people are wanting to connect with you further, or if they want to maybe purchase Spatial Alchemy, where can they find you?
So the book Spatial Alchemy is everywhere. It's
Mhm.
wherever books are sold. So wherever you like to buy your books, that's where Spatial Alchemy is. So please read it and please write me a review because I really want to get this work out there.
Mhm.
It's such an important conversation. I really want us to really understand how to bring alchemy into our homes. So please, if it works for you, write me a review. And you could also find me on Instagram under Olga Naiman. And then you could also work with me one-on-one, and my website will tell you all about how to do that. It's called thespatialalchemy.com, and I have classes on there that can walk you through the process if you want to dive a little deeper.
Amazing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again. And to our viewers, thank you for being here and soaking up this wisdom and as always, helping us raise the frequency.